You are probably familiar with Charles Darwin's theory of natural selection. Natural selection proposes a mechanism for evolution that explains why organisms seem designed for their environment. Natural selection is based on three main assumptions: variation, heredity, and selection pressure. Variation assumes that in any population, there will be a variety of traits. Heredity assumes that some of these variations can be passed on to offspring. Selection assumes that there are selection pressures in the environment such that not all offspring survive equally. Only those variations best suited to the environment will survive and pass on their traits to offspring. In this sense, the environment itself selects those individuals that are best suited to said environment. There are a group of people who propose that the concept of natural selection can be extended to explain all questions of design in the universe. This group of people are called universal Darwinists. Universal Darwinists purport that the essence of all evolutionary processes is that they involve some kind of information that is copied with variation and selection. Providing a system meets the same three conditions as living populations, variation, heredity, and selection pressure, the system must evolve by a mechanism akin to natural selection. According to this theory, natural selection can be used to provide scientific explanations for questions of design. Daniel Dennett refers to the process as an evolutionary algorithm where, if a system displays variation, heredity, and selection, then an automatic procedure results that produces design out of chaos without the aid of mind. Universal Darwinists contend that in order for the evolutionary algorithm to function, there must be a replicator. Richard Dawkins defines a replicator as any unit of information which is copied with variations or errors, and whose nature influences its own probability of replication. In the case of living systems, the replicators are genes. Technically speaking, replicators, such as genes, are units of information that make copies of themselves with high fidelity, but errors made in the copying process lead to variations in the information passed on. It is these variations that selection acts upon. In his seminal book, The Selfish Gene, biologist and controversial author Richard Dawkins introduced the concept of the meme. Memes are a second type of replicator akin to genes. As Dawkins describes, examples of memes are tunes, ideas, catchphrases, clothes fashions, ways of making pots, or of building arches. Just as genes propagate themselves in the gene pool by leaping from body to body via sperm or eggs, so memes propagate themselves in the meme pool by leaping from brain to brain via a process which, in the broad sense, can be called imitation. More simply, Susan Blackmore defines a meme as information copied from person to person by imitation. The prerequisite for the meme was the evolution of the ability to imitate. The predisposition to imitate arose at some point in human evolution. This new type of behavior would have proved useful to its possessor, as one could observe problem-solving attempts made by others and then implement the successful ones. Obviously, selective imitation would be the most useful strategy. However, the evolutionary origin of imitation is not important here. What is important is that humans do, in fact, imitate each other. Indeed, this is one of the main characteristics that distinguish us from other living things. Dawkins purports that the old gene-selected evolution, by making brains, provided the soup in which the first memes arose. Once self-copying memes had arisen, their own, much faster kind of evolution took off. Blackmore explains more. Everything changed in human evolution when imitation first appeared, because imitation let loose a new replicator, the mean. Since that time, 2 replicators have been driving human evolution, not 1. That is why humans have such big brains, and why they alone produce and understand grammatical language, sing, dance, wear clothes, and have complex, cumulative cultures. Unlike other brains, human brains had to solve the problem of choosing which means to imitate. In other words, they have been designed for selective imitation. Memes are copied by imitation, and mistakes are often made in the copying process, leading to variation. Have you ever sung the wrong lyrics to a song?
Here's today's misheard lyric. There's a bathroom on the right.
These variations then compete for limited resources. In this case, the limited resource is the energy humans allocate to reproducing the mean. Those variations that are best at getting people to reproduce them will obtain a larger stake in the pool of memes. Memes and their study, memetics, have been used to describe how cognitive structures such as consciousness have evolved. Daniel Dennett, human consciousness is itself a huge complex of memes. In his book, Consciousness Explained, Dennett further goes on to explain, the haven all memes depend on reaching is the human mind. But a human mind is itself an artifact created when memes restructure a human brain in order to make it a better habitat for memes. The avenue for entry and departure are modified to suit local conditions and strengthened by various artificial devices that enhance fidelity and prolixity of replication. Native Chinese minds differ dramatically from native French minds, and literate minds differ from illiterate minds. What memes provide in return to the organisms in which they reside is an incalculable store of advantages, with some Trojan horses thrown in for good measure.